Still today, the fishermen along the coast of northern Peru use these boats called cattail horses to work the fishing grounds close to the shore. The cattail is a type of reed or bulrush which grows in the marshlands. Once it is cut and dried in the sun, it becomes tough and flexible, very resistant and waterproof. At dawn, the fishermen set out to sea, expertly maintaining their balance as they ride the waves, using the most ancient of all surfing techniques. The anthropomorphic face of the slitter of men's throats at the tomb or huaca of the moon introduces us to the Moche culture which flourished along the same coastal valleys before the Chimu Empire from 200 BC to 700 AD. From here we can see the Tomb of the Sun. Between these two pyramids lay the capital of the Moche Empire. Inside the Tomb of the Moon, we can see the different levels that have been excavated. Each one corresponds to a different ruler who, when he died, was buried along with all his belongings, including his wives and servants. Once they had been buried, they were sealed in with adobe bricks, and on top of these, the temple of the new ruler was built. 6 different levels have been discovered to which access was gained by means of a ramp. Moche or Mochica society was also very hierarchical, and there was clearly specialization of labor. They appear to have instituted a system of tributed work called mita. Some writers define it as a theocratic society, while others speak of a secular society. We know that they worship the moon and the deity Ayapayak, a fierce god, the supreme power and creator of the world who demanded human sacrifice. Apparently, the victims were thrown from the summit of the White Mountain, which rises up behind the tomb. There, 42 bodies of sacrificed warriors have been found. Close by the Tomb of the Moon stands the tomb or huaca of the sorcerer. In Peru, the word huaca is used to describe any archaeological site and the things found there. The most important of these finds are the polychromatic friezes which have been unearthed, like this one, showing a line of naked prisoners on their way to be castrated, moving towards the figure of the slitter of throats, here in the form of a spider, who holds a tumi or ceremonial knife in his hand. Some archaeologists believe this to be a representation of the god Ayapayak. On the walls of the different platforms beneath the relief drawings, we can see bones and human remains. They are believed to belong to workers who were condemned to death by being immured in the walls. Many more mummies have been found in Peru than in any other country in the world. Its ancient civilizations had very large populations. People were buried with all their possessions because they believed that life continued after death. The mummification process varied according to the era and the region. In the case of the cultures along the coast, the main factor in their preservation of the bodies was simply the climate. The exceptionally dry climate of the Peruvian desert has meant the mummified bodies have remained well preserved right down to the present day. The heads of mummies, stolen when the ancient tombs were robbed and defiled, occupy an important place on the tables of power of the sorcerers and healers. In the dark of night and presided over by the shaman, rituals are held at which they ingest the San Pedro, a cactus which contains a powerful alkali with relaxant and hallucinatory properties. Mescaline, a mind-altering substance which induces a profound state of trance. The San Pedro is cooked for a minimum of 8 hours, and the result of this cooking is ingested through the nose. The number of sniffs or doses is decided by the shaman. The swords with which they protect themselves from the disturbing spirits are stuck into the ground to guard the table. The San Pedro was present in the majority of pre-Inca cultures. Its native name is Huachuma. According to the investigator Antonio Escochado, the name San Pedro can be explained by the fact that St. Peter was the holder of the keys to heaven, and this plant is the key which opens the door to another world. In the pottery of Moche, Chimu, Paraca, and other cultures, we can see the cactus represented in the shape of a star, like the cut they make into the San Pedro in order to get at the part which contains the greatest amount of mescaline. The cactus can be bought in the sorcerers' markets in the north of the country, along with an endless number of potions and cures prepared by the healers. The origins of the recipes of these are lost in the depths of time.
Se agregan las demás hierbas. 5 minutos a cada una de estas hierbas, las vas a servir por espacio de 1,5 litros.
You can also buy the liturgical objects necessary for each ritual, like the skulls of mummies, which confer the greatest power to the ceremonial tables.
Aquí te voy parando. La una es la bordona, parando la otra el gallón. Arriba laguna negra.
The archaeological treasures stolen by the grave robbers are vital if the shamans are to summon up the power necessary to invoke their gods. They also drink the liquid obtained from cooking the San Pedro. The effect is slower and the required dose larger.
Te voy cargando, te voy dando los poderes de mi reino.
Though people in the north of Peru are very religious, they alternate the Christian faith with their beliefs in sorcery and healing. They live in an animist world in which misfortune and bad luck are the results of spells and curses.
La una es la bordona, parando la otra el gallón. Y dentro de las tinieblas el Señor